Hello, and welcome to the TwoTakes podcast, presented by your hosts Ben Coates and Max Dean.
Hello, Ben. You all right?
Yeah, you.
I'm very well, thank you. All right, let's jump straight into football this week. I think we should talk about the most successful, exciting, best game that could have possibly happened, and that'd be Man United winning 7-1 to
The game that's
Barnsley.
not Champions League.
Yeah. Who gives a shit? I meant Barnsley. Yeah, but seven goals. Now, I think the reason we should talk about it, and obviously there's some big scoring games this week that we've just seen. But do you think that although it's against some League 1 or 2 team, do you think it will help the players be back in form? Like, for example, Rashford and maybe Anthony. I know he had a penalty, but in your opinion, do you think even these it's like even winning a friendly in the preseason stuff, and it's a League Cup, so this one's a bit more influential. But do you think this will help them get their mojo or keep their mojo up?
It definitely does help confidence in a sense of, obviously, with your attacking players, Rashford, scoring in general is just obviously going to boost their confidence. You do have a look at the opposition. It was Barnsley. Obviously, a 7-0 win against anyone is good in professional football, but it is Barnsley, so you can't take too much in that, especially since on a night you're playing League Cup whilst everyone else, your competitors are playing Champions League. That's obviously a bit of a, downgrade, whatever.
Kick in the teeth, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. But obviously, goals will help attackers in terms of confidence. Rashford looks better. He looks more engaged. He looked like he was willing to actually take on a player, which is kind of, I think, a lot of people getting on him or getting on his back for that, because he just doesn't seem like he ever wants to just take on a player, go at a player, and he always going backwards. So that will obviously help, but you'd like to think you can take that kind of morale and confidence into this weekend, get a good result, and then kick on. But again, it is United, so one game you could do really well, one game you could do terrible. So
yeah,
you never really know who you're going to get.
But we won against Southampton, and I think that the important part is we'll probably see Crystal Palace. I think is a bit of a bogey team for Man United. Just randomly, I think went through the histories of watching them. They're just a team that always somehow cooks us, like in a really annoying way as well. And so, if the form I think could help, but we're not a team that gets streaks. We don't win 5 games on. It's like a win,
No,
a
it's
draw,
hard.
a loss, and then it's just it's bullying, I think, to some point. But yeah, no, I think that's fair. And so, exciting enough for me. But I think what you just said is a great point there. Like, it's really exciting to win a game 7-0, whoever you're playing. But while your main competitors are in a whole other league, but we are still playing European football, so I think it would cut a lot deeper if we didn't win the FA Cup and weren't in.
Yeah, so you're in the Europa
football.
League, aren't you?
Yeah. So I think that sort of your point is right, but at the same time, I think it maybe isn't as painful because of that reason, possibly.
Yeah, a little bit.
And so yeah, I think let's just see how we do this weekend. The next big game, obviously to note, was Real Madrid winning 3-1. And the reason I would note it is not because they won 3-1. It is more because they struggled to win 3-1, I would say. It was a very... I don't know if you watched it. It was a very tight game.
It went 1-1 at one point, didn't it? They went 1-0 up and then still got come back, scored that goal, and then obviously Rudiger scored from the corner. So, and then obviously the third one, young Hendrick, whatever, I think Hendrick,
yeah. And it was a... I was texting you about it when we were discussing a bit in the build-up to this episode, but I think he was lucky to score it. If he didn't, he would have been slammed.
It was a good strike, but it wasn't exactly like you'd expect the keeper to save it. It was one of those that you just trickle in, and it didn't. I would have thought the keeper would have saved it. I think the keeper would have been disappointed with that one.
Do you think it shows too big of an ego? And do you think that squad's going to run into the issue that there are too many egos in that squad? He had Mbappe and Vinny Jr. to his left and right, respectively. And the man took a shot from outside the box. Yeah, I know he's 18. It's 2-1. It could be... I think it was the final minute, and maybe he knew that. But maybe he just truly thinks he's, blessed. And, maybe he knew the strike was going to work.
there is a lot of hype around him, and
Yeah.
obviously he's come over. He's a bit of a polarizing person because he said it's like, I think he said one of his idols was Bobby Charlton,
Yeah.
who he's obviously never watched play because he's 18 years old.
Yeah, but he might have.
Obviously,
Was that
he
was
could
what
have
they was? I don't know. He might
he
know
could have
about him though.
watched
He could be an
like
idol.
highlights or whatever, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's a bit strange, especially for a Brazilian player. Like you would have thought, I don't know, Ronaldinho, Neymar,
But it
all the
couldn't have
like.
been a lie. Do you know what I mean? Like it couldn't have been like what an abstract lie to come up with for an 18-year-old Brazilian player. Just go saw him on FIFA once. Like that's not how. I don't think that's how
I
it
know,
would work.
but it was just a bit strange.
Or do
But
you think it is that
obviously,
he plays with him on FIFA? He's got him on his FIFA team from all the games, and he's like legend.
it could be. You never know with the kid with these new generation. So
Yeah.
obviously they all love FIFA at the moment. But the back to the egos thing. So obviously Madrid have always had like Galacticos and whatever, but this new kind of crop does feel a bit different because then it like, all back when it was like David Beckham, Figo, Zidane, Brazilian Ronaldo, all that was like proper Galacticos, like massive names. Whereas this is like they're all kind of young superstars in the sense of they're they're all like amazing, obviously, but
Mm.
Mbappe's obviously only playing in the French league. You don't obviously he's won the World Cup and everything like that, but there's still a kind of I would say there's still a question mark over him whether he can still if he does it in better leagues, whatever. He had to get out of the French league to elevate himself, like Haaland did, getting out of the Bundesliga to go to the Premier League and show that obviously he can do it in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But I think they'll be all right. Like they've obviously got Ancelotti, who's like a absolute just proper old school manager.
Mm.
He'll know how to deal with all those kind of big egos, everything like that. So I think they'll be fine. I don't really think there's going to be too much of an issue.
I think a really interesting point you said about them being young is quite interesting because actually I noticed when the game sort of shifted towards Real Madrid's like favor was when they subbed on Modric, and that just like what a wild thing when you're like, oh, you're probably playing quite a good team already because all their players are pretty good, and you bring on this like legend of the game, and that's just the shifting point. Those young players
Yeah.
still need that experience to be to be the teaching moment maybe, but
Yeah,
interesting to see how deep they go in the competition, especially in the new league structure. It be I don't.
Yeah.
And then we'll move on to that actually before we review any of the other games. What's your thoughts on the new structure?
I don't know. It's strange. Like it's hard to say because we're only one game week in, but obviously a lot of the players don't like it because it means they're playing more. I just feel it didn't need to do this. It doesn't feel like it.
Hmm.
It makes it feel like the games aren't as important because you've got. I think it's eight. I think it's 8 games.
8 games, and I think they're all different opponents.
Yeah,
That,
so all
that's
different opponents.
interesting.
It's not home and away. So
I liked
like,
home and away,
yeah,
personally.
obviously you like home and away, especially for the fans because it
Mm.
means they can when they get drawn into the group stages, okay, I'll be going to that stadium. I'll be going to that stadium. Whereas, for example, obviously we just played at the San Siro, which is amazing for the fans. Everyone loves to go to San Siro, but I'm sure the AC Milan fans would have saw that draw and would have thought, oh, if it was last year, we could have gone to Anfield like they
Mm.
did a few years ago. Go back. So I don't think it's good for the fans in that sense. I don't. I just. I don't know. I just don't think it needed this switch. Like all they had to do was bring back away goals into the knockout stages, and Champions League would have been back to its best, in my opinion.
Ooh, I
Because
disagree. I didn't like the home and away goal difference thing. I like that they equalised it. I
yeah, but
didn't.
then you get like last year there was games where it was like in the knockout stages it was like 3-3, 2-2 in the first leg, and it meant
Yeah.
nothing. So it was like 0-0 again.
Yeah, but that's not the ethos you can go in with. You can't
Yeah,
be
but
like, oh, it means nothing.
if the away goals are there, okay, even if it's like 2-2, you've got the 2 away goals, so you're in a better standing. It means like going away there's a lot more tactics involved then because you can like sit off and try and nick a goal, and then you can just sit back, or it just puts a bit more jeopardy in it. I think when you got the away goals,
I do see your point, and I do get that because it is a bit rubbish to have a game where it's like it felt like it was nothing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I just the following up from what this new league structure is it just a disguised Super League?
Oh yeah,
Do you
definitely,
think so?
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
definitely.
bit.
Because it's obviously they can kind of control the draw as much as they want. Obviously not in terms of like them being corrupt or anything, but
Mm,
you understand like it just they can kind of try and make all these big names get playing against each other. And it just I don't know, it just didn't need this. We just didn't need more games. We didn't need and like some of the teams you're playing, like it's not as big as kind of games as you kind of want it to be in Champions League because they've let in more teams now,
mm.
that obviously are not of as good a quality.
Oof,
Um,
oof.
yeah, but there is some that you like think like right they should be in the Europa League or whatever. Um, the one good thing is though that you don't drop into the Europa League.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, if you finish fourth, if you finish third last year, you drop into the Europa League in group stages. That's not the case now. So that's one good thing because it means if you're out, you're out. But yeah, I guess a good thing as well is if you finish in the top eight, you miss like the knockout, the playoffs, or however they want to call it, that little bit. Because obviously, if you're I think 8 to 24, you've got to play like two
Playoff.
legs against
Yeah,
playoff game or knockout. So I kind of like that in a sense because it means like whoever's in the top eight can just kind of chill for a week
yeah,
or chill for whenever it is. But yeah, it's hard to say. It's early days. It's early
yeah.
days, but it's not. Yeah, I don't
We'll
know.
have to see. Like you said it earlier. You said we're one game in, so maybe we're judging too early. But
Mm.
yeah, maybe with the top eight and then the playoff structure, it might make it more of an exciting format. But I think you keep, again, you said it again, where we just didn't need the change. We just didn't. I just don't think.
It
And
just didn't
then,
need it. Like Champions League is most prestigious
oh
cup in
yeah,
football, and like it's been that way for a long time. And whoever wins it this year, there will be an asterisk on it, being like, okay, this is the first year of this new change. Everyone,
mm,
especially imagine it's like an English club, the other English fans will be like, oh, it's the new structure. That's why you won. Like it's completely new. It's not the same as the proper Champions League, whatever. So you'll get that from other fans as well.
yeah. And so we'll just quickly dart through some of the other big games just to note them down, and then we can cherry pick the ones we sort of want to talk about. Obviously, Liverpool 1-3-1 was a bit rocky at first, but as soon as that
Yeah, it
corner
was a bad
situation
start.
happened,
Bad first 3 minutes, but we
I
got
think
there in the end.
yeah, I think the shift, like I don't know, after their goal, and in the build up to that first goal, I thought they were going to score before that 3 minute goal. To be honest, they had a couple of
Yeah,
like
because
an
there was one
opportunity.
that was like offside. They went across the
Yeah,
box, and Dyke got it. But yeah,
but
they look sharp at the start. First 5 minutes, they look really sharp.
yeah, but Liverpool, yeah, composure. Bayern Munich winning 9-2. Harry Kane,
Yeah,
4 goals,
4 goals, 3 penalties.
a hat trick of penalties. I was wondering when I was watching it. I was like, I wonder if that's like a record for, or they
It
must be close.
probably is.
A
I'd
record for
imagine
getting
it
a
is.
hat trick by penalties. That's a
Yeah,
very
I've never
unique way
heard
to
of
do
it
it.
before.
Yeah. And then obviously some of the other big games that we were speaking about was Man
Oh,
City against Inter, struggling to get a win. Really
yep, no,
surprising,
no.
just overall result. Um, are we surprised that they struggled against Inter, or is it actually that it shows the quality of Inter Milan, or does it show
I
that
do
there's
think
something
Inter Milan
lacking?
are I do think Inter Milan are better than like a lot of other fans give them credit for. Like
Mm,
I think the manager is Inzaghi. Probably pronounced his name terribly, but he's a very good manager. He sets his team up very well. They like to press and they like to like make it difficult for you to play. Um, and it was just a they just set it up really well. They seem to really, really make Man City struggle. I think Man City probably should have won. There was, I think, a chance towards the end. Gundogan or Gundogan, how you say it.
Yeah,
Had a big header
diving
at the
header.
end.
Yeah, he had a couple headers, I think, as well. I think they hit the
That's
bar.
true.
I think that was probably Inter Milan's second best player, probably behind their actual goalie. Yeah, I think they, yeah. But I think overall surprised because we expect so much from Man
Oh
City.
yeah, you
That's
just
maybe the
expect Man
biggest
City
thing.
to win.
Yeah, and then
But
the other
it
big
was
game to note for obviously on the English side of things is Arsenal
Arsenal.
getting a draw, just a goalless game again, which is just really surprising that these games are 0-0 more than anything.
Mm.
But yeah, just a shocking one, and I think obviously Bayern Munich winning 9-2. Yeah, that's really surprising because it's just brutal. Leverkusen winning 4-0 again. They're
Yeah,
just the German
good side.
teams. I think Dortmund also won 3-0 or something like that as well, which was really good. And then
Mm-hmm.
the real surprise was Barcelona losing 2-1. Obviously they got an early red card. Don't know if you watched
Yeah,
that match so
Monaco
much, but
2-1.
yeah, yeah, it was actually a really good game. I was watching it. I was watching one game on one screen, and then I had two. I think I sent you a photo, didn't I, or something like that?
Yeah,
And I was
yeah.
just like, I was trying to like watch all of them as much as I could, and I was like, yeah, it was an impressive performance by Monaco, but the Barcelona team just looked. Obviously, they're a man down, so you've got to like,
Yeah,
you know,
it's hard to say because obviously the red card, but I don't think there is. Barcelona have been on like a downwards trend for a while now, and
yeah.
they're not a Real Madrid level, that's for sure.
No, I read today actually somewhere. I read that what's the young guy who's Spanish? Lamine Yao?
Pedri.
No, Lamine Yao. How do you say his
Oh,
name?
Lamine Yamal, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
he
he
got
is
the
now
first goal, didn't
he got the first goal, but he's worth 100. I think he's valued right now at like 120 million. But apparently, PSG tried to buy him for 250 million during the summer, and they
he?
just
Jeez.
Barcelona turned it down apparently, which is surprising because they have a lot of money issues. I believe.
Yeah,
Am I
they do
right
have a
in-
lot of money issues, so they probably
Yeah,
should have just taken it. But again, I guess what they're hoping is he's like their next Messi and just takes over the squad.
yeah, yeah.
But
And
he is
then
very good, and the
oh yeah,
Spanish do love him.
the
Like when
Spanish
we,
football team, he shined. You think, oh, they're doing so well in like men's and women's, and like they're just dominating all the competitions. And you thought, oh, maybe is he going to get his time to shine? And he he was as bright as the sun. I would say
yeah,
honestly,
he
he
was
did really
amazing,
well. And then
and they
obviously,
really do love him.
yeah, yeah, and I think he's very loyal, and so I'm surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't want to go as well actually. And then two more games that we'll sort of say is one is Celtic winning 5-1. They're actually at the
Yeah,
top of
big
the. I know
result
it's
for
one
them.
game.
They were
Yeah,
like
and it,
third in
third
the
off, yeah,
table, whatever it is.
it's quite funny. And then obviously PSG themselves was very lucky with a 90th minute own goal. I didn't actually see it, so I don't know how bad it was, but I did read that they
Yeah,
got lucked out almost. But yeah, it's been an exciting week for the first week of European football. I look forward to see like where it all goes and stuff. To be honest, the
yeah.
Conference
I
League,
liked as well that there was games Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as well.
yeah,
I like that we had an extra day of Champions League. That's a good thing.
yeah. There's a lot of football, and obviously we'll go into this weekend. There's some really good games this weekend. Well, I'd say actually, I say really good games, but we've got some derbies. Obviously, we've got West Ham versus Chelsea that's ongoing right now. Chelsea at halftime are winning 2-0.
Yeah.
I'm just looking through them now. The other good games, none of them are like jumping at me, and so obviously we'll want to see.
Only one in Man City, Arsenal.
Yeah, yeah, no, tomorrow's obviously, but I expect Liverpool to beat Bournemouth. I would hope Man United can beat Crystal Palace, but I'm thinking we might be able to because of the on form. If we had lost the game before, I'd probably say that we would maybe be lucky to get a draw, but because we've won against Southampton, then have this big win, I'm really intrigued.
Palace look alright though. To be fair, they
Yeah,
got
they're just a deadly
Elise.
squad when it comes to us. Is it at home? If it's at home, we might.
No, I think it's a
No,
Palace.
it's away. Actually, we're all right. Weirdly enough, I think I was looking at the stats the other day. Man United have this like weird thing that they're actually really good at away if it's not a big team. It's just a weird stat. But yeah, tomorrow both games are actually really interesting. We've got Man City and Arsenal, which we'll explore more because that is going to be a decider of like how this season will sort of run going forward. And then actually the Brighton and Nottingham Forest one, they're both unbeaten, and so it's going to be
they're like fourth and fifth, aren't
they? Which is ridiculous, But that's gonna be quite interesting. Who would you put your money on against Nottingham Forest and Brighton?
Well, considering Forest beat us last week, the following week, I'd probably should say not Forest, but I think Brighton. You would say Brighton had the better squad. They're the better team, so I'd go with Brighton. But obviously Forest have got some good players: Hudson-Odoi, Alanga, Awani or Wai. Well, I don't know how to pronounce it. So yeah, I'll probably go Brighton. I just like Matoma, João Pedro. Hopefully, if he plays. So yeah,
I think they've got a better scoring squad. They are better at like actually converting goals. But Nottingham Forest seemingly are quite good at not conceding them in some sense from like what we're seeing so far. But yeah, they're seventh and eighth. I thought they were higher up to us. I just thought I'd quickly look it up.
It's probably because of the game today.
Yeah, it's all very marginal. No, what do you mean the games? Oh yeah, because obviously, Chelsea. Oh yeah, Chelsea is second because they played.
Chelsea would have jumped up, wouldn't they?
Yeah. But yeah, and then obviously Arsenal versus Man City. Arsenal need to win it. If they win it,
yeah, they need to put down like a marker. Like this is the game where they're like
not even a marker, but they just need to like chip their way ahead because if they beat them, they'll take the lead, and that's all they And then you've got to just. But then it becomes the same thing, like not last season, but the season before, where it was like a constant chase, and then Arsenal got those 3 draws in a row near the end of the season, and it was just might as well.
Because obviously they beat them last year early on, but then they drew in the later game. So again,
it'll be a good game, though. It'll be a good game.
It will be a good game. I just hope that it's not a snooze fest where they're just both like not wanting to lose.
Nah, they're going to be riled up because their last game, obviously they've had the European football, but their last game in the Premier League was against Tottenham, which was a good game. Unlucky that Tottenham lost. Arsenal won. Happy days. Yeah, it was a very good weekend. But yeah, I think actually it's going to be this weekend is going to be interesting to see how the table like chalks up at the end of it. I think more than anything.
Yeah, because this is the fourth week,
fifth game. Yeah. This is the fifth game we're playing. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, usually the kind of benchmark is like 10 games in. Once you're 10 games in, you can kind of get an idea of roughly where everyone's going to finish. But yeah, 5 games in, get an idea of who's going to be good, who's going to be not. Obviously, we were terrible after the international break, so hopefully we get a win. But yeah, should shape up nicely. We just hopefully I'd want a Man City Arsenal draw, just so then they both drop points. But if anyone's going to win, I'd probably rather it be Arsenal, just so Man City actually drop points. But then again, Arsenal fans will be horrendous after the game if they win. So
yeah, but let them be overzealous because all it'll do is come back to bite them later in the season if they are. But I would never want Man City or Liverpool to win the league, but I'd take Arsenal. That'd be fine. But I just want someone else than Man City. And all I'm saying,
obviously you don't want
Liverpool won it. I wouldn't be like devastated. I would be pissed off because I'd rather Man United win it than Liverpool for sure. Because obviously keeping the tally and stuff. But at the same time, it would just be nice to see some other bastard lift the trophy for once. Before we'll just do one more thing that you sent me. We'll just review some sort of the money part of football, which we were discussing before we did this episode, which you shared a really interesting one about. Is it Trent? He's trying to buy League One. He's trying to buy that League One team. Do you want to talk about that for a bit?
Yeah, so there's kind of like conflicting reports. Like some are saying he's put in like a. So the report is that his dad owns like a trust fund, or like some fund thing. That it was like there was reports there was like 140 mil, 100 mil, basically submitted to the owner of the team. So I think it's FC Nantes or Nantes. So obviously that'd be cool for Trent. Obviously he's got investment in Alpine as well with F1. So he's obviously trying to like invest in sport.
Yeah, he wants to be like his portfolio.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I'm not sure how like the rules go. Whether like an active player can be an owner of a team. I don't know really how that works.
He won't be an owner. Like he technically probably won't be the owner. Like the trust will.
Yeah, I guess it will be this fund that's the owner that his dad.
What are the chances what if he plays that team though? What's the chances of that happening? Let's just say down the years in like.
There is a chance, like obviously, obviously if they become better, they're not that good at the moment. But obviously, if they get into the Champions League, and then they get drawn up, then
I think it's quite an easy ruling. Just don't let them play the game. That's it. Just don't let them play against them. Boom. There doesn't need to be a super load of like rules on the teams can't even be in the same league. Like if they come up against each other, may it be in the early rounds or a final, he just cannot be on the pitch because he would obviously. I don't think he would let his team he owns win, although that would probably madly expand their value. Let's say it's a final, he wouldn't like let them because I think for him, his team, playing Liverpool means a lot. It's
you'd like to
interesting
think
though.
his loyalty to Liverpool.
Yeah,
But
and then
yeah,
one thing, it's interesting, but we see it across them all. Like you look at, I think the people you always see talking like Shaq O'Neal is like the biggest one I see. Like he is Mr. Money Man when it comes to sports and stuff. But there are loads of them out there that diversify their portfolios and
yeah, Tom
they're
Brady
smarter
with
ones.
Birmingham, Wrexham.
Yeah, that's it. That's very true. And the Alpine one, I think everyone and their dog owns a piece of Alpine. It's actually unbelievable. Like
Yeah, it's like they've got like a sport. They've got like a sports people
yeah.
like kind of group.
Well, Ryan Reynolds owns a bit.
Yeah.
He's like
He owns a bit. It's Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Trent. I think Roy McIlroy, the golfer,
yeah.
is involved in that as well. So yeah, there's a whole. I think they've all like pulled their money together into like a fund or whatever, a group.
Good luck to them. I think,
Yeah, fair play.
Albine's having a rough
If you got the
run of it
money.
anyway. But anyway, before we move on to F1, second part of this podcast today. But I thought we'd just run through that thing I sent you the other day where it was like the most valuable players in the 3 European divisions of football. So obviously in the Champions League, I'll run them off. And the question I was going to propose to you is it surprising? So the top 3 or the top 5, but we'll start with the 3 because they're all for the same team in the Champions League is 180 million pounds for Mbappe, 180 million for Bellingham, and 180 million, which is just ridiculous that I'm listing off 3 different prices for Vinicius Junior. And then obviously it goes 180 million for Haaland and Foden at 150 million. Now, I'm not surprised about any of those. Possibly Foden.
Yeah, I'd say Foden's the only outlier, just because he's like, I don't know. You just don't expect.
Did he make an impact in European football? Not as much as the others did.
No.
Let's put it that way.
And
I don't know
like,
Bellingham though, did he? Oh, he did score some late goals. Or
Bellingham was good in the Euros, and he obviously, I don't know. It's a bit. You just don't expect English players to be up there for some reason. Like I don't know. I think that's just in our.
Yeah, like Grealish was up there for ages as like one of the most expensive players, and like he's now barely he's in the squad and stuff. But there was like rumors in the transfer that he was going to have to go and stuff because where do you play him? It's the same thing as Cole Palmer. The reason that Pep got rid of him is because he went, who do I replace? Like, what a luxury,
Yeah, exactly.
But none of those outliers. And then,
first 3 as well in Real Madrid players. So
yeah, wow, that's just not too surprising, is it? But the most valuable players for the Europa League is we've got his name Ozame Galatasaray for 100 million. Man United tried to buy him.
Napoli,
and then we got Williams for Atletico. I think he was nearly sold actually, but he decided
Nico
to stay.
Williams.
Yeah.
And then Spanish lad.
Yeah,
did really well in the Euros.
Sorry?
Did really well in the Euros.
He did, yeah. He came out with a splash. And then we got Fernandes for Man United, Maddison for Tottenham. What are you laughing at?
It's nothing. He's just not that great.
We'll come back to that. Okay. And then we've got Romero for Tottenham. Okay. I think all of those are not surprising. Maybe Osimhen Galatasaray being 100 million is probably a little bit of a surprise.
That's based off his in Napoli tender though. That's not based off the stuff he's doing at Galatasaray. Because when he was in Napoli, he was on everyone's top striker.
Yeah, Man United really wanted him, I'm pretty sure, as I recall.
Yeah, Chelsea were after him as well. But I think the issue with him was he wanted 500k wages or something like that. He wanted a stupid amount of wages, and obviously no English team's going to pay that. So yeah, that's not surprising in that sense. I think Fernandes, from my sense, was surprising, just because
you don't think he's worth 70 million?
No, he's a very good player, everything like that. He's a very polarizing player because
he's
you either love
he's
him
Marmite, isn't he? Yeah, he's Marmite for sure.
Yeah, you either love him or you hate him. But then, it's the whole thing. His captain, I don't think he's a great captain because, did you see when? Remember when we played you? We were dicking you 7-0.
Yeah.
and he was like begging to come off, like stuff like that. It's just not good captain. I just don't think he's a great captain. I don't
But do
think
you
he
remember
leads.
in the last FA Cup when we were he was injured and went in the match and we weren't winning and he was like he dropped back to centre back to make sure he could still play. Like he the one discredit part I'll give him about it is like if someone takes a shot and he's not even like in a particularly good position, he's like so angry, but he
Yeah,
takes
he's
some
one of
pretty
the
wild shots.
he's not one to hide his emotions. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, he could just, I think it's why him and Cristiano Ronaldo gets on so well because maybe they share the same flair. Let's put it that way. Like
Yeah.
they both of them have the same sort of burning passion where they feel like if they kick a ball, God's gifted. I'm going to gift them and. It's gonna like yeah, but anyway, we'll move on because we need to switch over topics shortly. But we will quickly the Conference League. I won't list them all out, but the top 5 are Chelsea, and the most expensive one is Palmer at 80 million, and then you got Fernandez, Caicedo, and then some other ones, but they're 65, 55. But not surprising. It's just ridiculous if they don't win it with 50...
like Chelsea just shouldn't be in there, but yeah.
But it's the way it goes. Anyway, we will switch from football. It was a quick recap of the European football. Like we said, a lot of it's early days, early rounds in the cup and in all of those leagues. And some of those leagues haven't even played games yet. That's happening this coming week. But yeah, we'll switch to F1 quickly, and we'll just do a quick recap of obviously Baku, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix that just happened. I would say a surprising result. For obviously various reasons being the accident that happened at the end, the incident, and then obviously, Leclerc again, the curse continues.
Yeah, not managing to win from pole, Piastri getting the win. Yeah, again, like isn't it like 4 or 5 times he's done that now? Where he's at Azerbaijan, he just never manages to get the win. But obviously him coming in second, Piastri getting the win, him getting his second win, which is obviously. Everyone's comparing him and Lando, and like the length is amount of time it's taken them to get to 2 wins. But that's just them. That's just everyone trying to build up that rivalry, which isn't a rivalry. Obviously, Williams doing really well, getting big points. You saw them. There was a picture of them like proper celebrating that, which is fair enough. They got big points in regards to like that. Like the rest of the pack sort of thing. Yeah. Because down there, like every point matters. Colapinto and Behrman both getting points as rookies in their second race. So, and then obviously Behrman has that record of points as a rookie with 2 different teams, which is quite funny.
Very cool. And Colapinto, fun fact for this, is that to the 2 races now that Colapinto has raced, he has scored more points than Logan Sargent and Latifi in their combined 69 races, which is just mega.
That's mad.
It is mad. And obviously it's all timing. Like maybe they're
obviously Williams are better now.
Yeah, but he it's a street. He's come in at very tough tracks. He could have been this one, and Singapore's going to be really another challenging one. So if he scores points again, I think maybe that disproves the whole. Well, it's just because I think
they look good this weekend. They do. In FP3, they were up there. They were like 7th and 8th, or I think maybe 9th and 8th.
You have skipped over the most dramatic part of Baku, which was
Perez and
Sainz crashing.
Yeah,
I was like, whoa, yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, so that I have. I'm of the opinion.
Here we go.
That was more Perez than Sainz.
I would somewhat agree. I think it was straight out racing incident. This happens in games, like when you play the F1 game, tires touch and your cars just lose control, and you're like, this is so unrealistic. But actually, those cars are traveling. It's the friction when they mold, and it's always going to end badly. And when there's bigger tracks, they just wiggle away. But because it's a street, you hit a wall. I would say that Perez had room on his left, a lot more room. I give you that. But Sainz did not. He was not squeezed. He had room on the right hand side.
Yeah, but he was just going like
whoa. What I think is that Sainz was not looking left or right because he thought, well, that car's gonna have loads of room. I have room. I'm just gonna keep going. And what he did was try to follow Leclerc to get the toe and get the slipstream.
Yeah.
So I think because of that natural drift, and Perez would have gone, well, he knows I'm on his side, so why would he drift left? So I think Sainz did move into Perez, but I think there is more logical argument that Perez probably should have been, as he was not in front of him and he was not fully alongside, he should have gone that car's coming across. But they were so close, going so fast out of a corner. I just can't believe they risked it all. I get why, but Perez especially.
It's more like, obviously Sainz is ahead of him, so he's not looking behind. He's looking ahead. He's looking at Leclerc thinking like, right, I'm going along the racing line. You can see his steering wheel is straight. He's just drifting over, and he's trying to get the slipstream, obviously, like you said, from Leclerc. Perez can see him coming over, and Perez has all this room on the left. Perez is probably trying to do the same, where he's like in the Leclerc slipstream. So that's why Sainz is slowly drifting over. And I just think Perez had more room, and Perez can see him drifting over, and he just doesn't move. He just doesn't. All Perez has to do is tiny bit left, and it's fine.
So to answer your point on the steering wheel being straight, that is correct. But it's straight, but he's not driving in a straight line. He's driving.
Yeah, and I know, I get that. Yeah.
And so it again, I don't think it's anyone's fault. It's just Sainz equally. I could play devil's advocate, saying he just had to take that corner, compromised because him and Leclerc had a little weird little moment, and so he should have thought. Yeah. Perez is going to be on me, and so should have been looking behind, because he thought, because Leclerc was a long way up the road. He's not thinking I'm on the attack. He was then should be thinking I'm on the defense, and I think he would have been. And so from after
it was just so unnecessary though. Everything about it was so unnecessary. They both were doing really well. Perez was finally going to get beat Verstappen this year. He's finally going to get a good result.
Yeah,
and they both just send it, and it was so unnecessary. Perez could have been on the podium.
Well, you say he could have been on the podium. That's the thing, though. Should he? And this is the question I think we should have been asking and thinking about the most of it is: should he have let Sainz go and just secured fourth place? Because he might have got him. Let's just say in that corner, in that mentality, he could have got him on the DRS at the end and pipped him at the line. Quite probably, the car was fast enough and it was good. But at the same time, was it worth the risk? But for him, but we are not drivers for that reason, because he's like, oh, I could get fourth and get points, but I could be on the podium. And for his career, being fourth and being on the podium, I think was a real make or break for him. And I think, it's interesting. It's interesting.
But then again, it shows that maybe he's not the right fit now for Red Bull, because.
Yeah,
if he was just sensible and just got fourth, or even he could have got third and it was just sensible and just went for the overtake on a better corner, better line, better part of the track.
And so you've just said it there. Maybe he's not the man, and I think that leads on to some great gossip and rumors that's happening as we build up to this Singapore Grand Prix. Obviously, Daniel Ricciardo, depending on how to say it, is rumored to be at threat of losing his seat, because it has come out that Liam Lawson, after this race, will become a free contract if he does not get upgraded into the first team or into a seat in F1. So I would like to say a hot take and say that this is all smoke and mirrors, and considering the result of Baku, I possibly think that Liam Lawson is going to get stepped up and go into the RB car, but Ricciardo's career maybe is not at risk because he has a seat.
What, do you think he's going to take the Red Bull?
I'm just saying a hot take. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? I think it could be.
It would be strange though, because why would they think he's obviously the Red Bull's a better car than an RB and everything like that? So obviously he's going to get better points. It is obviously a better car, but but I don't see how you can look at Ricciardo's results and just his general racing and think, that's the one for Red Bull.
Yeah, but Christian Horner loves him, and I think what really should happen is Perez should go or get replaced by Tsunoda, and Ricciardo should stay in the RB to show that he's got consistency of performing at that car's level. So he's not going to win, but can he be where he should be for that car? And that's their decision to make what that is. And then Lawson should take Tsunoda's seat. I think that's right. I think Perez.
That would make sense. That would make more sense to me, because then you finally give Tsunoda his chance, see if he's, because everyone loves Yuki. Everyone sees all that potential he has, and they're just waiting for him to basically grow up.
Yeah. But we'll just will what happened? I think anyone who goes in that Red Bull seat when Max Verstappen is their teammate, you will get the Albon effect, you'll get the Ricardo effect, you'll get the Gasly effect, where they all went into RB with Max Verstappen and they all came out sour. They all came out off the worst end of it. Well, I think Perez should go, and I think they should get rid of Lance Stroll. They should put him in an Aston Martin. You could have Alonso and Perez, and I actually think that could be a really good duo.
That would be. I'd be interested in that. To be fair.
Yeah, I listen. It's ifs and buts and it's dreaming and stuff, but it's a tough one. I just think, I don't think. I won't say what I think, but I think a good question would be is, do we think we'll get to the end of the season and the Red Bull and the RB team will still be the same drivers as it is going into this weekend?
Yeah, that's why I thought Lawson was going to come in at the start of next year.
Yes, that's what I
thought.
thought.
But then there's conflicting reports saying that maybe he'll come in after this race because some people are saying that obviously this is going to be. There was people saying like this is going to be Ricciardo's last race in Singapore, like racing the Singapore Grand Prix, and then there's other people saying this is going to be his last race in F1 in general. So I probably lean on the side of Lawson will come in 2025, and they'll wait and they'll just leave it as it is. But again, they're seeing William. They might, yeah, maybe. But they're also seeing like Williams do really well. So they might be thinking, right, we've got to change the drivers to see if we can get some more points.
Yeah.
Because obviously the constructors, everything like that is getting all switched up now that Williams are doing well. So
do you know
RB might be like, right, we need to catch them.
Another hot take. I think you're entirely right. And I think that could be the reason that maybe Daniel gets replaced because they need the points now. But if they don't replace him before the end of the year, I could see come kicking around for Liam Lawson in preparation for Audi, because it'd be great to have a young talent in a team that's new. And so it depends what Lawson wants. It depends if he wants to. It depends who he thinks will be most competitive. Will Audi come into the sport and invest loads of money and realign that projections for that team? Because right now they're only going down. Admittedly, they were the fastest pit stop last week, which is which is great for them, I guess.
It's obviously great.
Yeah, and they only gained places because of that crash, but yeah, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens after this weekend because I think there's a bit of a gap between the next race. But yeah, I 100% agree with you. I really thought he was going to come in at the end, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. And depends how much. It all depends about how much love Christian Horner has for Daniel Ricciardo. I think because as we saw from
there's definitely still that love there.
So. Some weird. Like I think it might be like parental, like he sees
kind of like father-son thing, isn't it?
Yeah, something like weird like that. I feel at least something really really odd. And so yeah, I think it could be interesting. I think the RBs though in practices looked pretty strong. They looked strong yesterday, but into this morning's one they looked a bit questionable. But same with Ferrari. They didn't look too strong this morning.
Ferrari didn't look great,
and Leclerc looked visibly frustrated in the interview.
He looked very frustrated.
So I'm looking at my F1 team on my other screen right now. I'll be very honest with you. I have not changed it. I've got 3 free transfers, and we've got 4 or 12 minutes till qualifying starts. I've got to lock it in. And my current team, and I want your opinion of this, is Lando Norris, George Russell, Albon, Joe, Colapinto, the McLaren car, and the Mercedes car. Now, before you give your opinion, the only thing I'm thinking about doing, possibly, is taking Albon out, and I'd have to put Bottas in, but then I could afford the Ferrari car. Do you think I should be safe and spread bet effectively, or do you think I should? Do you think the Mercedes have got it? I could technically replace George for Sainz as well. But do you remember last year George crashed into the wall on the last lap?
Yeah, he made a couple of mistakes as well in practice. He was like proper going for it, and then he just like some of the corners he just went straight instead of going actually around the corner.
He's practicing.
Yeah. Is there any way you can put in Russell and then Sal had the Ferrari car?
Yeah, I can do that, but I'd have to have Bottas. I would have a cool 1.3 million spare, but the reason I don't like having the Ferrari car and Russell or Sainz is that I have to have both kit cars. While I think Williams will finish in the point, like, even if they're 9th and 10th, I think.
Can you not have Colapinto?
I can have Colapinto because he's the cheapest, but I think I want to keep Albon, so I think I'm gonna risk it with the Mercedes. I was very lucky in
Yeah.
Azerbaijan with that crash, very lucky to have them.
Yeah,
But
because it annoyed me because I put in Leclerc.
you did quite badly
I
actually.
used the chip thing where you put in Leclerc like after the
Yeah.
qualifying, and then Lando ended up getting like the most points anyway. So
That's because of the crash though. Because like if that
I
crash didn't
know,
happen, he wouldn't
so
have got those
annoying.
extra takeover points. And if that crash didn't happen, maybe Leclerc wouldn't have like it. It was all. Lot Norris did a great drive. If and
Yeah,
maybe
obviously he did a great job.
he did a quality drive to finish. Like even if he didn't finish fourth and he finished sixth because that crash didn't happen, I think that really showed it for me. The pinnacle moment was to show that he could still be world champion this season. The driver's world champion is that he got those mediums on, and the engineer said go and get Max, and he did it and did it very comfortably.
Yeah,
And
he didn't like take time with it. It was just like pretty straightforward for him.
and when he got to him, he just overdug him really easily, and it wasn't like a big hoo-ha. It wasn't in his head or anything, which was really good. But I think I might leave the team as it is, which is I'm gonna roll the dice. George in that live final practice really surprised me. My I was trying to do the maths in my head, and I just couldn't be bothered to get a piece of paper out. But was if George, let's say, finishes second, so I've got him in the Mercedes car. Is it better than having Sainz and the two Ferraris? Because I think they could finish like fourth and fifth, but Lewis Hamilton will be like eighth. So it's really difficult to work out the maths where,
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I get you.
yeah,
I'd
theoretically I
probably go the
probably should
Ferrari
have the
car,
Ferrari car, but
but then I've got the Ferrari car. So if Mercedes do really well, it will be different. So, as in like you'll get more points than I'll get. So if you
yeah,
want to like beat me, go Mercedes, I guess.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting. It's gonna be it's because it's a street circuit though. Because whoever we pick, they could bid it for corner one because someone else crashes
Yeah,
into them.
exactly.
It's a really and it's a harsh go down, harsh braking first corner, take a left, and anyone could just bin it. I think probably the smart man would take Albon out, put Bottas in, and then take the Ferrari, and then leave George, and that's a smart like safety net bet.
Yeah.
But I would like to be not the smart man because I found out like I was looking at a league on the fancy app that I thought was like everyone playing the game. It was like 300k plus players, where I'm ranked 2,177. And I realized actually there's public leagues, which is everyone. So out of the 2.4 million people who play the game, I'm ranked 5,898. So I really want to get
good.
yeah. And in the UK, there's 400,000 people playing, and I'm in the top 1,000. I'm 978. And in the Lando Norris
Jeez.
one, there's 300k people, and I'm 906. So I really like. I could go for the safe bet, and I think I'd stay very similar. So I want to risk it because I want to get further. And so
Yeah, no, I'd go with that option. Yeah.
yeah, but because I'm pretty safe in our league, and so yeah, it's an interesting one. The league's great. If anyone is watching or listening, you should really play F1 Fantasy if you enjoy F1. I think it, especially because now like you start, I'm rooting for Zhao because he's in my team.
Just because he's in your team,
Yeah.
yeah.
Gives
You
you a
get
bit
those
more.
odd ones. Like I'm
Yeah.
voting for Colapinto because he's in my team.
Oh yeah, same. I've got both. Yeah, and I think the Williams are gonna, despite the fantasy, I think it's gonna be really interesting to see if Williams' rise keeps happening. I've been going on about it for ages. Obviously, in the F1 thingies I do, I've been singing their praises, and it's just, you could just see it coming slowly. Albon was driving the car really effectively, and I don't know if that was actually shows the upgrades have been here for longer than we realized, and Logan just made Williams look like a bad team, and that's why
Yeah,
they changed him.
I think that just the change of Logan, I think it's just taken like a load off their back kind of thing, and just like taken away the negativity. You bring in Colapinto, kind of like it's all like kind of fresh, and it's because you brought in a rookie. There's not as much pressure, so Albon can just race. He can all the team are just there's not too much pressure on them. They can just do what they do best. And yeah, I think it's really just brought a new positivity to them, and it's just really helped them kick on. And I hope they continue, because obviously you want Williams. It'd be nice to see like Williams like maybe become like the new Aston Martin or
rival
like,
Aston Martin. Like if they match
just
up in the next few races,
challenge and just see
Yeah.
if they can break into that.
So
Top
there's more like a
5,
midfield
top 4.
actual battle. Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be cool if they could like chase, because it's like you kind of like got the top 4 and then you've got the rest. So if they could like try being like the best of the rest, that would be quite cool.
Yeah. And then before we'll just wrap it up shortly. But I think the interesting part would be to finish it is to take away from the Azerbaijan Grand Prix is not just the incident or McLaren's dominance or Williams gaining. It's more Red Bull. I think was really interesting to observe. Like all the comments that are coming out about Perez is like this. The car's been like this for ages. I've been telling them, but Max was still doing well. So no, we just didn't deal with it. But now Max is finally his confidence has been knocked, and it shows how much confidence is key. I think he was dragging that car around, and he's now shown everyone that he was on form, like, you know, any players in any sports, and now he's lost that form. He's like, and now he's realized that he's been dragging that car around, and it's more noticeable when you think back to the races that he was winning. He in the practices and stuff, he was still complaining like mad that the car was completely like all over the place. But again, they just buried their heads in the sand because they were still popping the champagne at the end. And so, do you think he'll lose? Just to wrap it up slightly now, do you think? One, I think personally they've lost the championship. It's now actually probably McLaren against Ferrari probably in the last 7 races. And do you think that it's so bad they won't be able to bounce back and stop Lando winning the thingy? Do you think Lando has got a good chance? Or do you think Max is just like hoping that Lando DNFs to like save him?
I do think Red Bull have like it's been like a slow decline for them, but unfortunately, I do think Max will still manage to win because I don't think Lando's going to get enough separation in each race. As in, like Lando finishes first, it'll be like Max second. It'll be. I'm not about to like today, like tomorrow, like it might be like Max.
But for
Max
the rest
might
of it,
finish first. I reckon like over the course of the next 7 races, I feel like Max is going to stick close enough that it's not going to be. I feel like it will be very close to the end, and then I feel like it will just be like, if it's really close to the end, I reckon Max will just turn it on and just get his mojo back. But at the end of the day, I guess it all depends on the car, really. So
yeah,
I do think McLaren are in a very good position. I think Lando's in a very good position.
This race will make or break. Actually,
obviously, if he manages to win this race,
wins fastest point, that's 26 points, and let's say Max comes 6th, and I think that's actually quite optimistic.
If something like that happens, then yeah, obviously
he would gain 18 points on him, and I do not know how many points off by heart. What's the F1?
I think it's like 70 odd.
So he is on 300, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to try and do it now. So they're 59 points apart. So if he does what I just said, they would be down to 41 points apart with 6 races to go.
6 races. So there is every chance. Like it is really open.
Max just needs the DNF and just to spice it up, really, doesn't he?
Obviously, if there's something goes wrong, Max. Imagine like in tomorrow, like Max just sent it into the wall or whatever.
Yeah, or even remember they qualified like really, really poorly last year. I don't think they made it out into like Q3. I think so. If they start at the back and can't move forward, if they don't score any points, I don't know. So I'm saying doesn't matter about Perez. If Max does not score any points, because they're not going to win the constructors. Like
no, they've lost the constructors now.
If Max
the constructors have gone.
Yeah, if Max scores 0 points and Lando then comes first, and let's assume he gets the fastest lap, let's assume he doesn't get the fastest lap. If he like takes 25 off that margin, he quite comfortably. There's like a lot less pressure.
Puts him in the driving seat, then, doesn't it? If it puts him within touching distance, so.
But yeah,
no, I obviously for our sense, I hope Lando does do it. But you know, like I still think there's a lot of twists to come. I feel like Max will get his mojo back at some point.
See, that's interesting. I think Ferrari might be the thorn in McLaren's side. I think they could be the ones that like hinder his progress. Like I think this race they've got it pretty locked in. It seems McLaren's pretty set up for this circuit. But I think then in the latter races, I think Max might win because Leclerc steps up. And I think so it'll be interesting to see, like, you know, when this season ends, if your theory was right or my theory was right. But I think you both have a feeling something's going to go wrong for McLaren. I just think it's looking too plain.
It could be just McLaren just being McLaren, and then just stupid strategy, not telling Piastri that Lando's our number one, whatever it is. It could be something like that. But it sets out nicely either way for the last 6 races. And we'll see how we turn up at the end.
We'll wait and see. Well, yeah. Okay, and then we'll end it there. Thank you for watching, everyone, and
Yeah, thank you.
see you next time.
See you next time.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. But if you didn't, well, cheers for the view.